it. No, that was my idea. I just lucky I can read. I can read. It's 3 lines.
Today, I am here with the Emperor of the Byzantine Empire and his wife, Theodora. As I'll give it to my co-host, Lindsay Montalvo, and she will be interviewing them today.
Hello, Justinian and Theodora. It's a pleasure to have you guys back on the show. So I'll be asking you guys many questions about your guys' reign, and I have a list of questions on this tablet right here. Now, Justinian, first things first, when did you become the emperor and how did it happen? Tell me all the details.
I started my rule over the great empire in 527. First, I received an excellent education. Now, when I come into power, my troops are fighting in the Euphrates River against the armies of the Persian king. A couple of treaties and truces later, big flex, whatever, we lost no territories, which was awesome. Wars and wars, countless victories and victories. I was victorious. What can I say?
Dang, now how long did you rule over your great empire?
From 527 to 565, so about 38 great, awesome years.
Now, tell me about your empire's social status. I want all the juicy details.
And of course, there were high-class people, low-class peasants, and all these people were all, of course, under me.
Mm-hmm.
I am the ruler. Yeah.
As I will add, the upper class was the highest tier of the people. This class began with the emperor and trickled down to other wealthy land-owning families. If your family was in the upper class, you generally received more respect, more power, and owned the most land. This is the second tier of the citizens. These citizens had the most potential for upward movement. Middle-class citizens, they did not have as much wealth as the upper class families, but did not have as little wealth as the lower class families. Second tier citizens were merchants, artists, government employees, or other highly skilled workers. The lower class is quite self-explanatory. It's the lowest tier of the citizens in the Byzantine Empire. This social category was made up of slaves and other physical laborers. Often, these citizens had little rights, lack of identity, and were disrespected by the members of the higher classes. The citizens in this tier were unpaid, and they did not own property. They were given a bunk, so they were given a place to sleep, and food rations from their employer. But the food rations would be crumbs of their leftover bread that they're eating, or some leftover watery soup.
Sounds like a meal.
What ultimately led to the demise of the Great Byzantine Empire?
Sadly, the Byzantine Empire fell in 1453. The ultimate cause of its fall was pressure by the Ottoman Turks. The decline of my empire was the Crusades that dawned these Crusade invaders. Also, after my death, the government of the empire declined tremendously. Our land was too large and the population was just declining. Also, in the later years, there was a terrible plague. Yes, you may have heard of it, the Black Plague.
Oh, Theodora, looking gorgeous as always. Now, the question that's on everyone's mind. How did you meet your husband, Justinian?
Well, actually, when we met, he was here to the throne. He's actually 20 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
With that being said, he was forbidden to marry an actress because I was an actress until of the age of 16.
Okay.
Justinian wanted to marry me immediately.
Okay.
And he couldn't marry an actress because I was so low in the class system.
Yeah.
So he wanted to marry me immediately.
Okay.
So the following year, he had that long cute, and we got married.
Wow.
After I passed away, he didn't even want to remarry anybody because he was so in love with me.
Aww. Wow. No. Now, what role did you play in all of this?
I was one of the most powerful women in the Byzantine history.
Ooh.
I was Justinian's most trusted advisor, and I was the person behind all of this.
Wow. What are some accomplishments you achieved while just being married to him?
Well, with my power and the influence I had on people, I promoted religion and social policies that were important to me. I was one of the first rulers to recognize the rights of women.
As you should.
Under my power, women were amongst the upper class. They weren't treated so poorly like the lower class, like in other empires they were. Women were not always just at home taking care of the children. They were allowed to take on professions of their choice and became highly successful in being businesswomen, writers, philosophers.
So you were in charge of all the military personnel, correct? How did you strategize your warriors and knights in combat?
The Byzantine army was amongst the most powerful and effective military forces in the world. A tactic we used was a line formation and phalanx, to use guns and cannons a lot while we're fighting. We thought those were the most effective.
Wow, we love to hear it. Now, finally, thank you guys so much for coming on the show tonight.
The pleasure was all mine.
No, thank you.
Now, back to Jacob.
Now that's what I call a true love story. Thank you all for watching tonight, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.
Walking the camera.
What?